Good evening. The West Midlands Police and Crime Commissioner Bob Jones has died suddenly at his home in Wolverhampton. Tributes have been paid by all who worked with him, including the Home Secretary, community workers and police officers. His untimely death means there'll have to be an election for a new commissioner, perhaps before the end of the summer. More now from our special correspondent, Peter Wilson.
Just yesterday, our cameras were filming Bob Jones at work, attending a meeting about child exploitation. I spoke to him last week. He was at a public meeting to debate the so-called Trojan Horse schools case. Government officials have constantly linked the police to the investigation. But Bob Jones was always happy to speak his mind and to speak the truth.
Our greatest ally in the fight against counter-terrorism, the community themselves, has confidence that the police are not getting involved in this particular issue. This is an issue that the education authorities need to resolve.
Bob Jones was the first to be elected Police and Crime Commissioner in the West Midlands. He was regarded as the country's most knowledgeable commissioner. Today at police headquarters, the news of his death left everyone devastated.
The most important thing for him was being the voice of the community, not his voice. He said, my voice isn't important. He would often say, it's what the people want. And that's public service.
The Crime Commissioner sets the police targets and holds the police to account. Some chief constables have fallen out with their new political masters, but Chris Sims and Bob Jones made the new role work.
No one has a bigger democratic task than trying to connect with 2.6 million people across the West Midlands in often sensitive and difficult areas. And he was literally out day and night, meeting to people, holding summits, talking to people. Nobody could have worked harder.
Bob Jones famously said his job should be scrapped, calling it too expensive and flawed. Yet his success at making it work will leave a huge void.
He was somebody who stood up for all that is best in policing. He was also a thoroughly decent man, a man of outstanding personal integrity. Bob was one of those very rare individuals who seemed not to have an enemy.
Today in Wolverhampton, people were remembering a local councillor who'd served them for 30 years.
Bob Jones is such a nice councillor, black and all. He done such a nice job. And then he been elected police commissioner. We know him very well as a family member of our heart.
He was always there, really, you know, cheerful and everything. It was very, very nice.
Aged just 59, Bob Jones was a man who many counted as a friend. He loved real ale and real politics. Tonight, his widow, Sarah, said that he also loved his family more than anything else in the world, and they loved him. Peter Wilson, BBC Midlands Today, Birmingham.
Well, joining us now from Westminster is Dudley North MP Ian Austin, a long-time friend of Bob Jones. Good evening to you, Mr. Austin. This must have come as a terrible shock to you.
I think it's a huge shock for everybody who had the privilege of knowing and working with Bob Jones. For his family, they've lost a much-loved husband, father and grandfather. The rest of us have lost a brilliant police and crime commissioner who devoted 30 years of his life to making the streets of the West Midlands safer. It's a huge blow. And
ironic, isn't it, that he became police commissioner when he didn't really think the job was necessary?
But by God, didn't he do it well? Didn't he do it well? He made that job his own. There was nobody better qualified to do that job in the West Midlands than Bob Jones. Look, I sit on the Home Affairs Select Committee. We've had lots of the police and crime commissioners come to give evidence to us, but he was without question the most accomplished, the most experienced, the most knowledgeable about policing of all the police and crime commissioners in the country, I think.
It wouldn't be Labour policy, I suppose, but there is going to be another election. I mean, what are your thoughts now on the job of Police and Crime Commissioner?
Well, I think it's far too early, Nick, to speculate about, you know, what's going to happen next and all of that. But I would say this, you know, whoever tries to do this job after Bob Jones has got a huge, huge act to follow.
But Ed Miliband thinks the money will be better spent on frontline policing, doesn't he?
Well, look, you know, whilst these jobs exist, it's you know, it's good that we've had people of the calibre of Bob Jones doing them, and you know, you know, working hard to make the streets of the West Midlands safer, to represent local communities. I think the two words I would use when thinking about Bob Jones are integrity and commitment, and there was nobody better suited to doing this job than him.
Ian Austin, thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us this evening. Coming up